my name is James Nicholson and welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video, I want to give you my predictions on two major central bank meetings this week. We've got the Federal Reserve going this week and we've got the Bank of England. Now, this is going to have an impact of sorts on your mortgage rate, the interest rate that you pay, because if rates are cut, potentially that will drop the swap rate. The swap rate is what the banks that we borrow from, where they get the money, and that will be a positive sign and potentially things are going down. Now, there's a lot going on this week. If you've watched the news, you know we've got a American election today, but that might not be decided for a week, and dependent on the outcome of that, that's going to have a big impact on where interest rates ultimately end up. So this video, I'm going to talk about all of that and more. So if you're new to this channel and you haven't done already, do subscribe to the channel over there and hit that bell notification. We're on the way to 33,000 subscribers on the channel now, which is insane. And let's get the video out to more people by smashing like, tickling like, doing something to that like button. Hit it with love, hit it with anger, whatever you need to do. If you think Trump's going to win, hit it. If you think Kamala's going to win, hit it, because that also helps us with the YouTube algorithm. So, big week, lots going on. Today in particular could shape interest rates for a while to come. You see, while we're in the UK, most of you watching this, the outcome of the election in America is going to have an impact on world markets, that's for sure. And that is something that we need to keep an eye on, because we're so intertwined our economies these days. It really does make a difference who sits in the White House. We've also got the potential of not great relationships. You see, Labour have sent over 100 people to help Kamala Harris's campaign, and obviously Trump's not too happy about that. So if he wins, it's not going to be particularly great for Labour and the Republicans to have a good relationship going forward. So what is going on? Well, you've got the Bank of England and the Federal Reserve meeting this week on the 7th. And the Fed both meet on the 7th. The Fed actually has a 2-day meeting. The Bank of England have a 1-day meeting. And the goal of this meeting is to set the base rate, the interest rate. And that is important because if you're on a tracker mortgage, for example, which some of you are now, I know more people have been taking those as the expectation is that rates will go down. If the rates drop, then you'll immediately get a drop in your costs on the next monthly payment. So here's what's expected, and this is actually what I agree with. So just to be clear, I actually agree with what the market says on both of these fronts. So the Federal Reserve meeting, the expectation is that they will drop 0.25% this month on Thursday. Now, at that point, we still might not know who has won the US election. In 2020, the election was on a Tuesday. It took till Saturday until we knew who actually won the election. There was lots of arguments and disputes. Potentially, I think that's likely to happen again. Trump is already seeding out there that there's election interference and fraud by the Democrats, laying the groundwork for a challenge, whatever the outcome is. Obviously, if he wins in a landslide, he is not going to do that. He's just going to accept that. But the Federal Reserve, it couldn't be two different candidates. So if Kamala gets into power, I think rates will just gradually go down. Here's the curveball. If Trump gets into power, that the Fed have a little bit more uncertainty. You see, Trump is saying that he will immediately put these tariffs onto all imported products, particularly cars. And he throws around all sorts of numbers, 100%, 200%. So if you bought a 10 grand car, it's going to be 30 grand by the time you actually get that, which is a lot extra. And a lot of economists believe that the tariffs that he's talking about could cause more inflation in America. In fact, pretty much 100% of economists are saying if we impose these types of tariffs, there's going to be trade wars, inflation is going to rise its ugly head again, and that would mean the Federal Reserve potentially would then need to start increasing interest rates to deal with inflation. But there's more to this story. Now, what Trump has also said is that normally the Federal Reserve is separate from the government. And he is saying that the president, he believes, should have more of a say in where interest rates go. Now, he has a huge real estate portfolio and businesses that rely and can do better on lower interest rates. So if he does that, and that isn't technically something he can do at the moment, but he could pressure the Federal Reserve Chairman, Jerome Powell, to leave and get someone that's more favourable to him in there. In that scenario, interest rates could go down quite quickly, even if they get higher inflation in America. So it's interesting to see. This could, Kamala getting in will just be, as we've expected, rates will just gradually go down as inflation does. Trump, though, getting in could cause inflation to spike over there, but that also could actually get rates to plummet based off the fact that he will want more of a say in what the rates are. So Federal Reserve are expected to cut this month, so that's for November. There's one more meeting. Although the year is ending, there's another meeting in December. They're also expected to do the same there. Markets are pricing in that they will cut 0.25%. They're currently on 4.75% over there. So we're expecting this month them to go down to 4.5%. The interesting note here as well is a lot of people's expectations were whatever their first cut would be, which was 0.5%, that they would continue at that level. 0.5% down, 0.5%, 0.5%, 0.5%. They're not looking like that because they've had some fairly good data for their jobs and stuff like that. The last one wasn't great, but it's still positive numbers. That could get revised down, of course. But right now, it does look fairly positive. So Fed, I believe, will cut 0.25% like expectations are. Bank of England. So Bank of England, the expectation is, again, 0.25%. Now, the Bank of England normally follows the Fed, and we normally have fairly similar interest rates to the Federal Reserve. They did cut 0.5%, while we only cut 0.25% on our first one. Currently, the Bank of England has a base rate of 5%, so we're expecting that to go down to 4.75%, not down to 4.5%. I'd like to see a surprise there and get a 4.5%, but I don't think that that's going to happen. Look, that's interesting. So that means that tracker rates will go down very quickly. Your next monthly payment will go down, of course, which is good. What does this mean for mortgage rates? I don't think you're going to see much positive news from it, because the SONIA swap rate, the rate at NatWest Borrow From and all these other places, has increased since the budget, and in fact slightly before the budget it increased. So we really need to see that go down, and that is going to be possibly go down with a result that they favour from the election in the US. I'm not sure what would need to happen there, if it was Trump or if it was Kamala, which would be the more popular way that the markets would react. But if we see the swap rate go down, then we'll see some mortgage rate drops. But I don't see that happening right now. I think that the rate might go down, but I don't think you're going to get massively better mortgage rates this month. I think it's going to be fairly stable mortgage rates until December. I also stand by the Goldman Sachs prediction that whatever happens short term, so December, January, February, March, I think rates won't drop significantly, but I do think that Goldman Sachs is onto something, and economies around the world will start to slow down. And I think you could see a base rate of 2.75 like they're predicting by November next year. Anyway, let me know your thoughts, questions and opinions. Keep it polite about the election. I know it's very polarizing, the American election, but who do you think is going to win? Kamala or Trump? Have I even said her name wrong? A lot of people get in trouble for that. Do comment with that. And what do you think about the base rate and the Bank of England and the Federal Reserve? What do you think they're going to do as well? Do comment on that. Do subscribe if you didn't already. Smash like. Check out all the other content on my channel, including this video right here.